everybody! Today I'm going to show you about a cool new feature we introduced in SingleStore DB Studio, which allows you to surface your historical query and resource use information directly in Studio. And to do this, you need to have already set up the SingleStore DB monitoring solution, which I have shown on the screen here. If you're not familiar with it, please see the links that we've provided to this video on how to set it up. There's an exporter process that collects data from a master aggregator, and it gets sent to a local or remote database called the metrics cluster or metrics database that stores the monitoring data. Now we have pre-built Grafana dashboards that you can use to surface this monitoring data, and this new feature I'm introducing allows you to actually surface some of your query resource information directly in Studio. This is an exciting feature because in Studio today you really only see real-time information. You have a dashboard of events that shows cluster usage, cluster health, and it's really useful for real-time troubleshooting. And on the page that we will show you how to surface historical information from, today you can really only see what's happening at a point in time. And so if you have a performance blip in your application and you're wondering what was running on the cluster, you can't really get that information from Studio without this new feature. So today with this page, if you want to get any historical information, you have to choose a duration to record. And the most you can do is 10 minutes. So I'm just going to show you how this looks for 10 seconds. So as you can see, it's sampling the data from my cluster directly, and it's going to show me what was running at the time. But again, that only captures the last 10 seconds. So if you want to go back further, you can't do that without the feature I'm about to show you. So like I said, in order to surface historical information, you need to have a SingleStore DB monitoring solution set up. And in this case, I've already set this up, and I'm going to just log into the database and show you. So as you can see, I have a metrics database. I'm going to confirm I have all the tables in here. You can set this up either by using SingleStore DB Toolbox through the command start monitoring, or you can run SQL directly. All these guides are in our documentation. This database should have eight tables, which as you can see here, everything is as it should be. Now I'm going to show you how to configure Studio to actually surface your queries and resource usage information directly onto the dashboard we were just looking at. To do this, you have to configure the Studio HCL file. And by default, that lives in varlib SingleStore DB Studio or MemSQL Studio. You might notice that this is the rebranded package, which you'll hear more about later, but all the changes are backwards compatible. So you'll be able to use both MemSQL Studio and SingleStore DB Studio. And here's my Studio HCL file. Now I'm going to go into it and edit it so that I can tell Studio where my monitoring database is so it can start surfacing information. Great, as you can see, this file contains information about my cluster. And this is essentially what's created as soon as you add a cluster to Studio. Now, in order to be able to surface information about your monitoring database, you have to give it a few pieces of new configuration. So, you have to first define monitoring here, and then provide information with whether your monitoring database is local, which in this case that's true, or remote. You can also specify whether you want to reuse the same credentials to access the cluster or different ones. In this case, I'm using the same. And finally, you can also specify a database name should it be different than the default. We have a number of different examples of how to configure this file in our documentation, which we've linked to this video. I'm going to exit out of this. In order for these changes to take effect, you have to restart Studio. Let's just do a quick double check on the file to make sure. Great, that looks good. Now we're going to go ahead and restart Studio. All right, now I'm going to take you back to the browser. Now, as you can see, it doesn't give me an option to record. Instead, it just shows me the last 1 hour of my queries and respective resource usage. And I can toggle the time frame to go back to a given time period that I may have noticed something abnormal. It also tells you how long of data you have available up here. In this case, it's 7 hours. Additionally, you can toggle between different databases, and also, if you want to know more about different activities running on the databases that aren't user-generated queries, you can add system and database. Now, this is incredibly exciting because, as I said before, Studio has only been able to surface real-time information or near real-time. And this allows you to actually effectively go back in time and understand what was running on your cluster and using resources. You can look at the query, you can look at the elapsed time, what it was using its time on, and additional metrics around CPU, memory, network, and disk usage. So assuming you're running an application and your users report a blip at a given time 10 hours ago, assuming you have the monitoring data available and you've set up the monitoring solution and configured Studio, you can go back and investigate this and either understand what the bottleneck was or optimize the query, or both. Stay tuned for more historical dashboards that we'll add to Studio to give you more insights into monitoring your SingleStore DB cluster. Thank you for watching.